What's going on, everybody? My name is Lamont. Been a full-time trader for 7 years now, part of the TheChartGuys team for more than half of that, where I head up our futures room and our swing report. In this video, we'll go over the overall market, where we're currently standing, check out some of these hype sectors, and hit you with some trade zones and a little bit of a review. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, whoops. Okay, so starting off here with SPY. All right. So for SPY, what we are looking out for now is this weekly higher low has now been set, right? Because we had a bullish harami, I think that's what it's called, whatever. Either way, we had an inside bar last week, and now we've broken over the prior week's high. So now this low over here at 493.86 on SPY, the ETF chart, is now the new weekly higher low. I think there may have been a little rinky-dink one here. No, actually there wasn't. So new weekly higher low established here at 493.86. Looking up at key resistance, it's just the all-time high resistance is 524.61. So remember, monthly consolidation also occurred. So, this is potentially the beginnings of just a healthy monthly higher low being set here, right? Because what we're paying attention to, or what we're paying the most attention to at least, is the 2021 high, right? The fact that we have not traded back under the 2021 high means that the higher prices relative to the prior all-time high are being accepted, right? That's just a fact, right? So as long as that's the case, this consolidation is healthy. And recall, we are watching these two areas, these two demand zones, because these two demand zones are in the way before the 2021 high. If the sellers cannot trade through this area of demand and this area of demand, well, then obviously they're not going to get to the 2021 high. So these are our key references to the downside right now. And our key reference to the upside, of course, will have to be this fellow, right? This guy from 320 to 43, of course, is the supply setting at all-time high. Multiple POC rejections here, value area low rejection, crack through this area of demand, which was our big red flag moment. And so here we are now, a few weeks later, seeing what these sellers could do with that. And as of right now, all they've done is trade through to this guy, failed to get to the value area low of this structure, broke the POC of this 22 to 221 demand zone, held the point of control, and now this is what's I find pretty notable from the last week. They failed to come back down to test this value area high and this point of control. So all of this price action here is most certainly the sellers trying to trade through this structure. So the key levels of this structure are first 503.50, the actual high of the structure, which is where this low was made, and which is where they tried to defend off of a low here. And you can see intraday that that was a high of day, right? Here it is a low of day. Here is the close. Obviously, we're clearly battling for this, right? Additionally, holding the point of control here 2 weeks prior was very notable. And so the goal for these sellers then, after rejecting from this structure's value area low, right, this level here, you'll notice that this guy rejected price over here to start off the week last week, right? And so that was then this structure being affirmed as supply. Right, sellers were letting us know, hey, listen, there's still a good amount of supply here that the buyers will have to work through in order for them to flip this back into support, back into demand. And so the selling to start off or for the first half of the week was notable, but they did not get us back down here. And then pretty notable gap and hold kind of a day here. The goal for these buyers now is to get back over 512.76. That's this prior low over here. Why? Because this is the key breakdown from this supply. I have both of these areas marked up now, so I'm still focused on this guy. But soon, maybe we'll turn this fella off and turn this guy on for its key levels, because this is technically the local supply. This supply has already been traded through, So it's still telling us a really good story, so I've left it on for now, but, just doing my homework. The date range is over here if you want to recreate it, but it's just this range here. So anyway, just like this was a notable failure to touch down on the key level of this daily demand zone, this is also technically a notable failure as of right now. Obviously, we have to see what the next week brings, but that is also a notable failure to get really close to that point of control and to that breakdown level and then not tag it. So we'll get pretty good information next week on, obviously which of these structures are going to win out here, right? So now that we have traded back over this guy, right, with the value area high being affirmed here, now it's a battle between this structure and this structure. So next week, acceptance over 512.76 or 78, which is pretty much the same level, or under 507.81 is going to set the tone in the short term, right? If back under here, right? If back under this 507.81, all right, then we're right back to eyeing this structure, right? But if acceptance over 512.78 over here, all right, now we're eyeing this structure and this structure. Okay, so it's a very key spot right now for the market. And trading within this hot mess has been kind of tricky, I would say, but not if you have a good trading group. So really quick shout out to the trading community, but in particular the full-time traders group, which is if we have a channel that's just dedicated for our folks who are having a go at trying to transition to full-time traders, or whom are already full-time traders. And we have calls, huddle, like whatever, online calls every Wednesday, Friday, sometimes Saturday. I forget what the schedule is for the Saturday, but they're just casual talks where we bounce ideas off of each other and whatnot. And on the Wednesday call, we were looking at after the FOMC day, because the FOMC reaction was pretty wild, and so we were discussing game plans into the next day. And we had one member, Trent, who was saying, "Hey, listen, sell. It's only a buy for him, right? He would not be interested in buy." Whereas I was staying open-minded to sells and buys. Sells from a day trading, particularly day trading perspective, and buys, bigger picture, trying to go, as you know, if you're watching these videos, trying to get with the direction of a potential monthly high or low, as long as we're over the 2021 high. So, it's a really great call, very helpful, even for me. It's honestly super helpful for me to hear other people's perspectives and whatnot. So, shout out to the gang, and let me just walk you through a little bit about how we can day trade off of these levels, because I have been a little bit less aggressive with the swing trades because we're under this major supply, right? So because I knew we were going to likely be chopping around just like this under this supply and over this demand, as long as we're over the 2021 high, kind of pump the brakes a little bit on the swing trading. And then I've just been day trading a little bit more, especially because while the VIX spiked for a little bit, the volatility was good for day trading. So you just kind of strike when the iron is hot, right? Anyway, so let me show you how we get it done. So on the Thursday session, so this is after FOMC, and let me just show you this really quickly too. So for QQQ FOMC day, for this daily structure, the 124 to 130 structure, that's this guy over here, right? We've been watching for a long time. Has pretty much contained the entire day's range from the Wednesday session and the Thursday session, pretty much. Yeah, the Thursday session as well. It was like, here's Wednesday, right? Here's the FOMC day. It opens up here. The low of the day is like pretty much obviously a battle for the value area low. The high of the day is pretty much a rejection from the value area high. And then we close right back on the value area low again. So obviously the market was letting us know that these structures are important. And of course you can see here, we're pretty much just grinding this daily structure that we've been watching for some time. So anyway, after that call, on Thursday morning, as always, I will every morning I write, well, most mornings I guess, I will write a morning rundown here that will have us prepared, right, for the trading on the session, right? So every single morning we'll write this breakdown, and the key that we want to be paying attention to here is that we were set to open up right at the 124 to 30 point of control. So that's here. We were set to open up right here, right? And so we know then that right away, if you cannot hold over, because you're going to open right there, if the buyers are going to control the session, right, while you're opening up at that daily level, in order for the cash market buyers, regular trading hours buyers, to affirm this level, they have to hold the open, right? And so if you don't hold the open and then you roll under the open, that should be a sell, right? And here's our daily levels, right? We say, all right, well, if they do happen to reject from that point of control, then we should be looking out for a test of the value area low here, right, at 421.64. That's this guy over here, right? So that's pretty much all the levels that we'll need to operate for the Qs if it shakes out as we anticipate. Moving under the open should be affirming this structure, this level as resistance. Affirming this level as resistance should have the sellers trying to get down here, right? So we are prepared for this sell because we have these daily levels that are shared in these videos, right? And so here's some timestamp posts at 9:31. I let the fellows know, hey, listen, I just sold it, right? Because we moved under. This is again 9:31. So I just sold that 1 minute new low, and that's on here. So here we are. Here's the open. right? And you just sell this new low because remember, we're set to open up right now here, right? So here's that, I'll just go here, right? 1 minute chart over here is right here, right? So there's the open. And so, all right, well, we didn't hold over the open, and not holding over the open means that we're not holding over here. If we're not holding over here, the seller should be trying to come here, right? Exactly what we wrote about in the rundown. So see that happen. All right, sell that new 1 minute low, looking for a chop at the value area low from the 30th. It bounced before it got, I could get that exit. So I ended up just chopping it up a little bit early and then waiting for, oh, I guess it doesn't show the image here, so 935, but it was just the low of the EQ from yesterday. So that's this, right? So I missed that first chop. I just take it somewhere in this candle. The second chop I do here, and then for the third chop, which is the lows of this EQ here, and then for the we'll exit the rest above the O&L if the market lets me. And the O&L at this point here was here, right? So the O&L is one of these candles over here, which is pretty much roughly right above this daily value area low. So why do I choose to exit at the O&L? Because the O&L, above the O&L, because the O&L is as far as the overnight sellers could take it. And if the sellers are going to be confident, they need to trade through the overnight low and find acceptance beyond the overnight low, right? So the overnight low is pretty much a proxy for this large daily value area low. So you see how we can use the day time frame references in conjunction with these daily references, just like this day time frame reference, the open, we use that as our trigger because we know that if we're under the open, it's also affirming this daily level. Same idea here. If these sellers cannot trade under the what is that? We're floating. If the sellers cannot trade under the overnight low and hold under the overnight low, it's pretty much the same as the sellers not being able to hold under this guy, right? So that's pretty much it. Shout out to David as well, who got that trade with us. He's in there quite regularly. And then I also did the RTY, which is because it gave us the same setup, right? So remember the RTY on Thursday, yes, is setting up here, right? So we opened up over here, and so here's that morning selling. And so it's the same idea, right? For the RTY, if you're going to open up here under 199.26, right? That's here, Thursday, right? If you're going to set to open up pretty much right at that level, here's the open, 199.26 is like just right here, right? So the high of the day was 199.16. So what does that mean? At this point in time here, let me bring that drawing down to all time frames, I guess. And Joel Armstrong, if you are watching this is exactly the kind of way that we day trade around these big daily levels, which you asked about recently. So anyway, so check it out, right? So here's that. Oops, I gotta sync to all time frames. Give me a second here. All right, so again, we're at that daily point of control, right? So here's the open. All right, so what's going to happen if we, the overnight high, let me just show you my RTY chart because I think it'll be easier. So on oh, right, it's changed now. Okay, so on Thursday, we're here. That's this session here. And so the overnight high on Thursday is right here. All right, I'll just bring it back, my actual ONH marker. I'll just bring it back and hopefully, well, I'm sure I'll remember it later. But here's the overnight high, right? So remember the morning rundown, right? The description, here's the session to session setup, okay? So I'm talking about the overnight high here, and an inability to hold over the overnight high or the value area high would affirm those daily levels as resistance, right? So again, we're using the day time frame references in conjunction with our big daily levels to create trades on the lower time frames, right? So we hit that RTY sell as well. Let's see, hit that RTY sell as well, stop over the overnight high and looking for a chop just over the low of the day because again, that's just the setup that was presented to us. Now, that being said, so these are just, I'm just describing where the chops are, you know, what the plan is, gave the failure to ONH, blah, 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 out more above the balance FOMC, whatever, just calling out the levels. This is, again, we do this every single day. And then here's where I talk about on 950, we're out the rest of the NQ just above the ONL. And I'm just updating you guys, reminding everybody, hey, listen, those levels are being affirmed. Now, that being said, At the same time, and this is again, this is Trent's point from the full-time traders. He was saying, hey, listen, he's more interested in buys because the day time frame is still in an uptrend, right? We're still just looking for a daily higher low. Oops. We were still, everybody was still just looking for a daily higher low, right? This is SPY looking for a daily higher low, QQQ looking for a daily higher low. RTY was just looking for, well, to confirm a potential, let's see, daily higher low. And so, yeah, and so that I was staying open-minded to that, right? And so we post out to the room. Oh, I didn't do that one, but here I make a post to our futures room. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think I may have mentioned it here. Regular trading hours low. No, I talk about O&Ls here. Okay, let's see here. It is right here, right? So at 10:11, I'm talking about, hey, listen, regular trading hour low test here is key because a lack of follow through beyond yesterday's low would be early indication that the daily higher lows are potentially being set, right? So again, we'll put that all together. The idea is here, if you're here and you break yesterday's low, but you don't see follow through over yesterday's low, what does that mean? That means the day plus sellers, right, whose goal should be to take out this support and drill down to zero, they're failing, right? That's a very notable failure. So I just, at that point in time, I say, hey, listen, I'm eyeing this at 10:21. I say, listen, I'm eyeing this ESD val. Recognize, oh, well, that has nothing to do with anything else. But I didn't want to miss on the potential. Remember, my priorities right now are to give the buyers a shot as long as the 2021 highs are not violated, because, well, then we have the potential to just set healthy weekly, monthly higher lows. So now 2 weeks in a row, I've been able to close out the week with some ES, technically micro ES. I traded the minis and then I rolled them into micros, so booked the mini profit, hold the micros because it's easier for me to ride that, volatility. I'm still working on swinging futures. It's a goal of mine for this year. Anyway, so at 10:21 then that session, so we're here. 10:21 is this candle. The developing point of control prints lower gives us that signal here that lets us know, hey, listen, buyers on this session are trying to move value higher. And so I say, all right, so 10:21, I'm saying, I'm eyeing this. Oh, hold on a second here. I definitely have an entry as well. An entry. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So I just say, all right, I'm eyeing it. And then I'm eyeing it, this guy over here. And then at 10:22, bought the pass back over the Depop. So that's on this candle. I buy this pass over Depop. Very, very low risk. At this point, the PDC was just slightly under here. Obviously, it's moved, so you can't see it anymore. But the prior day's close was just slightly under here. And I was looking for the overnight low for a chop first. And the overnight low was just... let's see. Overnight low was right here. All right, so the overnight sessions low was here. Have to fix this later. But here's the O&L. And so we buy that. Oh, that can't be right. O&L. I must have had it. I must have been looking at it like this. Huh. I must have had it marked up wrong or something. 10:23. That's weird. I must have had this marked up wrong. Must have been looking at it for like this. No, that's too far. Oh, wow. That's just a mistake. I must have had this O&L marked wrong. Yeah, that was just a mistake. Huh. Well, lockdown, I guess. I must have had it marked up like this or something because the early exit was like 61. And then I looked for more under the prior low at 506, 4.5. Huh. Oh, I missed that in the review too. I think yeah, I don't know what happened there. Either way, let's see, if it was here, then the O1L that I thought must have been, yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised by that. Either way, I was looking out for another exit here for under this prior low, right? Which is exactly where these buyers fail. It's bothering me though. Maybe I just misspoke and was meant to write this prior low. I think maybe I just meant to do that because there was an exit here, I think. Either way, yeah, so that was it. And then that allowed us to capture this guy, right? This daily higher low. So another example for how to day trade around these levels, because you can get way more asymmetry if you're taking these lower time frame setups, right? Because we're still playing for this daily higher low, but like instead of having our stop under here, for example, we can zoom in and fine tune that entry, assuming if it works out, great. If it doesn't, our risk is still much lower than playing off of here. And if it doesn't work here and we do trade under this level, if there's no follow through, we can still be making for a play, just like this lack of follow through under the point of control. Okay, so anyway, just throwing in some of these trade reviews because I kind of been pumping the brakes with the swing trading, so I figure just offer some some advice or whatever techniques for other stuff. So anyway, let's get back into it. All right, so from now, what are we looking out for SPY here then? The idea is, well, still all about this guy, right? Well, actually, we've already covered this, right? So let's move on to the Qs. So moving on to the Qs here, the Qs are a little bit stronger, right? So here's this key local supply that these buyers need to find acceptance back over in order to have confidence in negating this breakdown. So that's acceptance over 435.11 is what these buyers need. So as of right now, these buyers are having a go at it, right? So if they were to reject from 435.11 next week, defensively, they'll still be okay as long as they're holding over 430. That's the value area high of this structure over here. Space for a daily higher low to be set over 420.63. Anything over that will be good for one. And I think we had a conservative trade zone, right? I guess it didn't come in, so it was just a little bit too conservative. Yeah, I think it was just a little bit too conservative. But from here, what you're looking out for, I guess we can do that for SPY as well. Yeah, so for SPY, really the new area of interest, I think this did come into our conservative trade zone, right? It's gone. I'm pretty sure we had a big fellow over here, no? Huh. Must have deleted it by accident. Oh, I know why. We're on the wrong chart. Yeah, so the SPY did come into our conservative trade zone. So if you had any initiations from here, it's already hit the target. So chop it up there, stop under here, and see what the market will give you for the rest. For the QQQ, I would say going forward now, this is a very reasonable way to approach it. Something like this. You can even come all the way down here, honestly, right? Like the idea is as long as you are defending this area, right, then these buyers are looking okay. So something like this makes a lot of sense, I would say. And you're just really trying to come back to here, test this key supply sitting at all-time highs. So something like this, I think, makes a lot of sense. Although it would be a bit of a red flag to reject from this supply, as long as you can hold over this guy, then they should be trying to crack the all-time high supply. Okay, so we only have space for a daily high or low, so buyers with room to defend this structure again. So I think something like this makes a lot of sense. If you do pull back, right, first, probably want to chop it up here, and instead of just holding out for this guy, and then hold out for more for the extended target. So, oops. Pretty much it. So we'll hold on to this guy here. Keep track of this guy. Okay, so that is pretty much it from QQQ perspective. So we're looking for a potential weekly lower high, although the sellers don't have that much space to work with to set it under this little rinky-dink one here, 447.53. All right, so that is pretty much it for the Qs. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Qs. Aggressive sellers, next week, you can be looking for fading inability to hold over 437.51 if you're looking for that weekly lower high. Me personally, I'm not going to do that. I'm just personally, playing with these buyers as long as 2021 highs are supported. Well, I mean, I'm still interested in sells, obviously, like from the trade review you saw, but For those, I'm less interested in holding sells as long as the 2021 highs are still supportive. But that being said, this is a very reasonable place to be trying to hold a sell, because if you do reject from these areas of supply at all-time high, that's longer time frame sellers playing defense. And who knows, we don't have to hold over these 2021 highs. So it's very reasonable to be looking for those aggressive sells, because if it does happen to shake out to be a weekly lower high and enter lower lows, we might see deeper monthly consolidation. So got to keep an open mind to it, and I am definitely eyeing that next week as well. So we shall see. Moving on to the Dow, I think it just missed, or it just came into our trade zone, and then obviously it's already cleared our target. So at this point now, you can move this as well. It can be adjusted to something like this. Makes a whole lot of sense. I'm just trying to get back to here, this prior low, right? Because if you don't trade through all of this, right, if you can hold this guy down here, well then of course there's only one place these buyers should be trying to get to, which is this big old supply. It's not big supply, but this prior supply is sitting at all-time high. Okay, so I like something like this for regular technical analysis or whatnot. So holding over this area of demand is a good look, right? Because we are just looking for a potential monthly high or low. Here's that 2022 high. These sellers have yet to trade under it, holding over this very key demand zone, which is right above the 2022 high. And so very notable defense here, still very healthy weekly and monthly consolidation. Actually, the weekly has a lot of space for a lower high. That's still very healthy monthly consolidation, but the weekly's got a good amount of space for a lower high under 398.82. So maybe look here for that play next week. I think probably do that. Well, actually, I'm not very comfortable trading the Dow, so probably not. Anyway, space for a daily higher low over 377.98. The best case scenario for these buyers, though, so we should actually extend this here, because ideally you can look for these bottom fishing plays off of the value area low at 383.11, which would affirm this structure holding as support. So bottom fishing off of this guy, trying to get back up to the point of control would be, I think, very reasonable shorter term plays. Bigger picture, I think this makes a whole lot of sense. Got to be mindful of that potential weekly lower high being set. So next week, if you're a Dow trader, like an inability to hold over 388.56 or 386.72 is a reasonable setup to look for that potential fade. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the Dow. Moving on to IWM. So IWM, the trade zone shared a few weeks ago, picture perfect, came right into our trade zone, gave us two fills, chopped it up. I did make plays for this as well. But I mean, at this point, if you did use this trade zone, ideally, you've already chopped it up, so you should get one chop at our target, which is based off this prior low. And then it would have been reasonable to look for another exit here, 202.88. Obviously, I don't see you guys in the middle of the week, but just know that whenever you test a prior low, that makes... Actually, I tried to go for this sell. It was a good sell, but then I walked my stop too tight on Friday's morning live stream and stop the runner. Either way, very reasonable to be looking for another exit here, because you just have all this daily supply. Now, that being said, if these sellers can't get back down under 200.41, then they don't negate the change from this breakout, and the buyer should then keep trying for a crack of 202.88 and then 205.46. So, if you're holding out for that extended target from this trade zone, I wouldn't fault you for it, but you probably want to walk your stop up to like here, where the daily higher low support is at 195.03. So anything over 195.03 is going to be good for another daily higher low upon any daily retracement. Okay. Bigger picture, it's still the same. We have space for a weekly lower high in a 211.88, and it's just all about this, no man's land, right? This battle for this center area. Because this guy, or pretty much it's pretty much these two structures that we're paying attention to. This guy made these lows over here, made these lows over here, and a bunch of highs. It made a bunch of highs here, here, here throughout all of this, and a major low over here. And then this guy made all of these major lows and then these major highs, right? So obviously then this guy is the middle ground between this and this. And so we're just continuing to pay attention to that, being very mindful that this is potentially a big old head and shoulders. And as long as all of this supply that's kind of, making for the head is resistant for these buyers, well, then the daily head and shoulders, big old head and shoulders pattern is still on the table. So as of right now, I'm kind of kicking myself over being stopped out of that sell, because that is probably a solid one, right? Out of all of the major indices, ESNQ, RTY, and the Dow, the RTY, the right, has the most overhead supply. So that might have been a big mistake stopping out of that, but we'll see next week. This will probably be a focus of mine from a shorter term perspective. next week, looking for that potential lower high to be set. Yeah, I'll be paying attention to that. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the IWM. And so next week, if you are interested in that play for a potential weekly lower high, it's a patient seller is going to wait for a crack on the 200.41, but I might just try a session to session setup sell if we open weak relative to relative to Friday session on Monday. So yeah, so if we open up weak down here, then it would be something like this. You look for a trade zone like this, right? You don't want these buyers to overcome all of this value area like such, and then look for something like this, targeting 200.41 for a chop, and then obviously looking for much deeper all the way back down here for extended targets all the way back down to the value area low. All right, so moving on to the dollar here. So the dollar, very notable rejection, right? So from this key supply has contained price for 2 years now or so, and then this demand zone obviously made for all these major lows. So now that they have rejected from this major point of control at 106.335, it's all about this guy, right? This guy over here is where buyers try to hold price here, rejection, and then now they're trying to hold it again. So for these buyers, if they can hold over 104.840, that would affirm the change from this breakout. So initially, not really seeing that much follow through back under this high, back under this point of control is notable, but these buyers still need acceptance over 104.745 to breathe a little bit of sigh of relief. Space for a daily lower high under 106.380, and we're just looking for a weekly higher low as well. Anything over this little rinky-dink one here, 103.645, will be good for one. And so that is pretty much it. I still stand by the trade zone. Trade zone still makes a lot of sense for these for these dollar buyers. And that is pretty much it. $1. Okay, so the VIX is right back under this 1544 this October level. So that's quite notable to me, right? Like fear is seemingly leaving the market. Obviously, this could spike right back up again. And so, that's to me that's rather notable, right? Like you would imagine that if there was going to be some more fear in the market, volatility increased, that the VIX wouldn't have fallen apart like that. Again, we'll have to be mindful. I'm still just watching 1544, right? 1544 is kind of my line in the sand. As long as we're over 1544, then we're seeing more volatility relative to most of the bounce since the October low. And as long as we're under it, then it's, kind of right back to business regarding volatility. So very notable to me. It's on 1544. In fact, I should set an alert for this for once per daily bar. All right, that is it. So let's get into some of these, hype market sectors or whatever. So starting off with NVDA, our bellwether in for semis and I guess technically tech. You're just looking for a healthy monthly higher low, potentially setting it here at 756.06. The weekly time frame as well, we were just looking for a higher low over 622.48. Now it's technically set here at 756.06. And so if you'll recall, we had that that trade zone that was shared in these videos, and it shook out. Oops, that's the private trade zone from last week. But this public trade zone shook out perfectly well as well, right? It gave you all three fills. Almost stopped this out. Almost was an official stop out here, but missed us by a little bit, and then already hit our target. So if you use this trade zone that was shared publicly to a T, nice little win for you. And if you're holding on to any runners, the stop can be over here, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, then the stop can be under here at 812.55. And I guess if you used the private one, you're not quite at target yet, but I'll talk more about that in our private video, which I guess I should move. Oops. Yeah, I guess I should move that. I can't pivot in both in the way the watch list works. Either way, so from here, what are you looking out for? Well, it's a new daily higher lows established at 812.55. The daily uptrend is fine as long as 812.55 is holding price. And I'm watching this kind of little hourly structure here, because this little hourly structure, if you'll recall, is kind of sitting at the bottom of all of this balance. I guess we could use this guy as well. Yeah, actually, this guy is probably a better guy, but this guy's also telling us probably going to tell us a very similar story. So as long as we're holding over it, buyers are okay relative to all of this daily balance here. So 846.26 is going to be super key next week. And that's pretty much it for NVDA. So yeah, like I said, if you use this trade zone to try to capture this potential weekly and monthly higher low, you're sitting pretty, Yeah, and if you did use this trade zone from these videos, if you wouldn't mind giving us a like or subscribe, that would help us out a lot because obviously then you did derive some value from these videos, right? So anyway, that's pretty much it. This has the potential to be a really great one. You know, it has the potential for it because if the market is going to stay strong here, if we're just looking at monthly consolidation just like this again, if that's going to be the monthly high or low, you know, you might be able to hold this into new all-time highs, right? Because so far, very healthy consolidation. So anyway, that is pretty much it for NVDA. Going forward, I still think this is a very reasonable trade zone, although, you know, obviously I have ideas for more aggressive ones. But I still think this is a very reasonable, bigger picture. You know, if you wanted to make plays off of this guy, like if you stop out of here and then look to do the same thing over here, that would make a lot of sense too. All right. So anyway, we'll just take it one moment at a time and see what next week brings. All right, moving on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, this is very notable. So for Bitcoin, remember the goal for these sellers is to get back down under 53,000. That's to negate this breakout point. And recently we were being mindful of the fact that the sellers were starting to edge out in this local balance, preventing the buyers from getting to the developing value area high and stuffing the buyers at the developing point of control 2 times. Then they traded back under 61003.36, which is this major structure's point of control is our key reference, right? Because holding over it essentially is meaning that higher prices relative to this structure sitting at the old all-time high are being accepted. So they traded through it, which was a huge red flag. But you'll notice where they have paused, and again, shout out to Mike403 in our crypto channel, who messaged me asking about, hey, listen, what do I care about this? Should a volume profile care about this? And I said, yeah, we should care about that, because if there's going to be, we don't know that they're going to fail, right? That the sellers are going to fail getting down to their objective 53,000. But if they were going to fail on their way down there, it would make sense for them to fail where there was a little bit of balance. And lo and behold, if you just scroll out, the value area low of this structure is pretty much what held, you know, price on that selling. And then you'll notice the value area low of this big structure from 1015 to 1116 back in 2021. Holding the value area low backtest sends us right to the point of control. Breaking over the point of control sends us right to the value area high. So this structure continually being affirmed here, right? So now I got this trade zone set up here because, well, this just makes a whole lot of sense. You have space for a daily higher low to be set over 56,500 even. And a backtest of this point of control at 61003.36 is a very reasonable place to be looking for that daily higher low. And if you trade through this guy, well, then obviously a bit of a red flag. But even if you stop out of here, if this trades through this guy and you stops you out and they fail to get back down here, pops back over this guy again, it's right back to looking at this area as a trade zone again. So you can look at bottom fish here, stop under here, try to get back here, try to get back here again. Okay, so it's not as if, like, you know, the trade zones, at least the way that I set them up, they're always based off of key structures. So even if you get stopped out, if there's no follow through on that, and then you see a big old move back over that key structure, puts that trade zone right back on the table. You know, that's one of the benefits of trading in this manner, right? Like, you're not, you know, it's not based off of, like, you know, like indicators or whatever that would change. You know, like, all of these things are just based off of what this is price. This is prior price, right? So the market is already letting us know where these locations would make sense, you know? So anyway, that is pretty much it. So this is also really healthy monthly consolidation right now. It's still pretty healthy. So we'll see weekly lower high, lower low, not really seeing that much follow through right now. And again, on the daily time frame, there's a good amount of space for that. I have an alert set for this one. So, you know, I'm very interested in this. I wish you had better orders so that I could just, like, have OCO orders and stuff, but they don't. So because of that, I just need to be pretty active. And if we do happen to come back down into 61003.36 and see no follow through and then move back above, just like here, 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 then I'll look to buy that with a stop under the local low and chop it up at the value area high, chop it up at the depot, chop it up at the diva, and then look to hold the rest. All right, so this is a pretty good setup. Ethereum, showing you a little bit of relative weakness still, of course, because the EPTC chart, although it did defend this prior high here, is still not looking so hot. Daily lower high and lower low back to the sellers, and the weekly time frame, everything, you know, not looking so hot. But as long as we're holding over this guy, then there's a chance that that Ethereum will, you know, have a little run relative to Bitcoin. So anyway, what are we looking out for? So here's that breakout point that we were watching, because this guy is pretty much a good proxy. This guy over here is pretty much a good proxy for the value area high of this big structure over here. So that's why we were watching it. This big structure over here is just this guy. This guy is what was the launching pad into new highs, right? And then they try to defend it a few times. They fail. And then over here it becomes problematic, and so now it's put back into support. So we're just watching these two key structures, right? Because this was where our local rejection came from. And as of right now, if they can hold over this guy, then we should expect more price action like this. So this is honestly still not that bad, right? You're just looking for a monthly higher low right now, and you have not gotten back down to the monthly breakout point. Weekly time frame also, lower highs and lower lows, it's a little bit worse off because, well, you have lower highs and lower lows. But again, they fail on the weekly time frame to get to backtest this breakout level, right? So here's the weekly breakout level. They've not yet come down on it, and they've, as of yet, have failed to touch the value area high of that major structure. So this is all very notable defenses, but these buyers still need acceptance back over 3202.80 in order to negate the change of this breakdown. So I think our conservative zone was a little bit... Oh, okay, so it's already come into our conservative zone a few times. If you're coming into here, then you just want to be looking to chop it up no later than 3202.80. And if you trade through 2570.27, then that'd be a big red flag, and you probably just want to put this idea on hold for now. Oh, that's like from way back when. We never got that, so we'll just kill that. So that's really it. Space for, well, daily lower high has now been set at 3167.85, and space for a daily higher low at 2814.12. I still stand by this. This still makes a lot of sense. You're just playing off of this prior high, playing off of these structures over here, playing off of this value area high and this point of control. Makes a whole lot of sense. IMO. Okay, so that's pretty much it for Ethereum. CCJ, still not doing anything with CCJ right now, right? It's still anybody's guess. This is pretty much just an expanding range. So the key areas that we're watching hasn't changed at all. It's just this guy, and this guy is actually within this bigger guy. It's kind of like a mini bus. It's the supply sitting at all-time high. This is not adjusted for dividend. I mean, yeah, not adjusted for dividends. So this is what it looks like with the dividends paid out. I don't know why I thumbs up that. But anyway, so what we're looking at now is potentially a daily lower high being set here at 49.09 if they can break 47.52 next week. Setting a daily lower high into a lower low would certainly be notable because that would, well, we've already had a weekly lower high and lower low actually. So weekly trend has gone bearish as well, but you can see how, higher high, no follow through, lower low, no follow through, higher high, potentially no follow through. So we have to stay open-minded to the potential of this point of control at 38.87 being tested again if we reject from the supply's point of control at 50.22. But step number one is to get back under 44.47. So although this doesn't look great, still, it doesn't look great, but still, space for a weekly higher low, and these sellers so far have been unable to get back under 44.47. So got to give these buyers a shot. Me personally, what I would like to see is a break under 44.47 with little follow through, and then if they roll back over especially if you fall right from here. If you were to get really extended on like the hourly time frame, break 44.47, I would look for that to potentially lack follow through, and then if it does pass back over 44.47, I would be interested in. I'm buying that move, throwing my stop under the low, targeting the prior low first, and then targeting the value area high. So staying patient on CCJ, not looking to get anything done with this yet. I know we got a bunch of folks who made that play down there who are still in runners, like Rich. Shout out to Rich, nice job. But me personally, I already am all out of that position. So that's pretty much it. Moving on to TAN. So TAN, like I said, we were grinding this area, this major point of control at 39.98 would be a big red flag if they were to find acceptance under it. Remember this 38.80 low, it's just marked up from here. That's just the highs of this area here. And the logic for that was, okay, well, that's the balance is sitting right under the point of control of this big structure. And so the idea then was, all right, well, as long as we're holding over that structure, the highs of that structure, then we're probably also holding over the point of control, which is exactly why I said, all right, well, I still stand by this trade zone, despite the fact that we were grinding here because the sellers had not done what they had to get done. So if you have been keep using this trade zone, then your average fill should have been here or no worse than here. And so again, very reasonable to chop it up at this prior low. If you've not already done so, I would definitely suggest doing that. Take another exit here under this value area high at 45.20, just like what happened back here when it entered our trade zone and got to our target. You just have to peel it out, right? Because as of yet, this guy 45.20 has been very problematic for price. So any initiations in here off of the POC in our trade zone, whatever, chop, and then see what the market will give you for the rest. Just looking for a weekly lower high, although there's not that much space for the sellers to work with under 46.13. Daily time frame, space for a higher low to be set over 40.12. And, you know, like I said, regarding the structures, no change to that. It's still a very reasonable trade zone, still a very reasonable target. Okay, that's it. MSOs. So MSOs came into our trade zone again, and then off of the news got to our target again. So now if you have used our trade zone shared here, you've been rewarded twice by the market. Coming into our trade zone, first time was here or here, and then to target, second time here, and to target again. No change to this either, right? So for the, you know, while this was kind of a red flag, this obviously getting rejected from the value area high of the key supply that we are watching over here is a red flag. Still holding over this guy, right? This guy over here, which is this guy, right? Holding over this structure opens up all of this kind of price action. So although this was a bit of a red flag to not be able to find acceptance over 10.0.92, at the same time, look at how they're not allowing sellers to get back down to the point of control of this guy, right, at 9.37. So if they continue to fail coming back down to 9.37, it should be right to here. So this, you know, believe it or not, this trade zone is still very reasonable, right? Because the idea is, all right, well, as long as we're holding over this point of control, as long as we're holding over this prior low, which is a lower low that they didn't see follow through, which is exactly what holds price. I mean, not exactly, but like this is where these buyers defend here, because here's a lower low. This was the sellers trying to advance beyond here. This was the buyers saying no, right? And so here's the sellers again trying to get the same thing done here. And so that's why our trade zone was based off of this low, because as long as these buyers can defend this low that didn't see follow through here defensively, they're fine. And so, you know, if you stuck with the plan, you're rewarded for that. And so anyway, that's pretty much it. I still think this is very reasonable. Looking for a daily higher low, anything over 8.32 is going to be good for one. That being said, space for a lower high now as well under 11.37. But again, like I said, very notable. Like I bet you if we zoomed in, you'll see like very notable plays off of this value area high, right? Multiple breaks, no follow through, break, no follow through, break, no follow through, break, no follow through, etc. So that's pretty much it. Weekly time frame, weekly higher low has been set, higher high, no follow through, bit of a red flag, and the monthly retracement has not even begun yet. So that is it, right? Yes, that is it. All right, so yeah, that's it. If you made it through the end of another one of these long videos, I assume you got some value out of this. And so if you wouldn't mind hitting us with a like and a subscribe, we would appreciate that very much. If you would like to trade along with us or learn the ropes of trading with a very robust community, consider joining our Slack community. If you would like this kind of analysis sent to your inbox with live updates for trade ideas that even if we don't trade them, well, even if I don't trade them, I'm still going to post regular updates for these ideas as they form. Same thing for Dan. But yeah, I'm looking to ramp up the swing trades again soon, probably next week. Well, I mean, ideally, obviously, let the market decide. But anyway, if you would like to be supported, right, because trading is a challenging game. And so if you'd like to be supported with our resources and our community, give us a shot. Links in the description below. Otherwise, appreciate you sharing some of your time and energy with me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope to see y'all soon. Farewell.